one I want to talk about today is the face of the NBA. Steph, LeBron, to some extent Giannis. He's still fairly young, but you got some of this older guard that's starting to fade away. In particular, these playoffs, we just talked about it a couple of minutes ago. The youth is coming with a vengeance. So who's the new face of the NBA? Who's going to be around, for the next 10 years representing? I have my own thoughts around this, but what I wanted to ask you and what I wanted to talk about is, kind of the definition of the face of the NBA, right? Because you have, like LeBron, ever since he got into the league, it seems like he was the face from day one. And why was he?
And rightfully so, though, honestly. I mean, because he was touted out of high school being this next coming of whatever. And how he handled it was very impressive. And, he had a good head on his shoulders, his game, his size. I mean, he was a beast right from the outset. So it's rightfully so that he was kind of anointed that from the outset. Yes.
Yep. And then, of course, Steph and the Golden State Warriors, they come and they kind of change the game, especially Steph with his shooting range and his ability. And so he's arguably been the face of the NBA. I would say that those two stand out more. But the main reason those two stand out is because they've been in, 12 of the last 15 NBA finals. I mean, it just seems like they've been in it every year,
Yes.
And so that to me has always been the defining reason where you have a face of the NBA. Jordan was the face of the NBA. Why? Because he was going to finals. Larry and Magic were the face of the NBA. Why? Because they were going to the finals.
Right.
Kobe Bryant was the face of the NBA. Why? Because he's going to the finals. Same thing for Shaq. So I think that to me is the driving force. But, we had conversations in the past where, it seems like the younger generation of basketball fans, they follow players more than they follow teams. Yep. And, one of the things that we talked about was whether or not championships held as much weight as they once did. So I kind of wanted to have that conversation with you because, I think that in particular, this finals could really alter, what the face of the NBA, who the face of the NBA is.
Who the torch is going to be passed to, right? Once LeBron and Curry retire, who's going to be that guy?
Correct. Because right now, what I would tell you is, to me, if we're going by the way we've measured it in the past, you have to say it's Jokic, right? He's won a final.
Right. Yep.
Prior to playing Minnesota, the expectation was that they were the favorite to go to the finals again this year. We'll see how that plays out. But he was on the way. But if someone like Anthony Edwards or Tatum, win the NBA finals, that all of a sudden they've got as many championships as Jokic has. So
But here's what I would argue though, Twan. Yeah. If Curry and LeBron were to leave the game tomorrow, who would be the face of the NBA? You say Jokic, I would say right now it's Giannis. Giannis is the face of the NBA right now. Even though he's in a small market, he's very marketable. You see him in a lot of different commercials. You seen him on the the iPhone, the Pixel camera phone thing. He's been on commercials for that. He's been on this soda commercial. We're plugging all these companies, man, without getting paid, but we're going to do it anyway, right? So whatever that lemon lime's new flavor, he's been on that. But the kid is marketable, man. He had his own Disney show. Like, I don't know if you ever saw that movie about him. I watched it. It's actually pretty good. But he's very marketable. He's got a great personality. He's got you already see these other commercials with the WNBA star. That she comes in and he wants to, they're selling furniture and all that. So he's doing a lot of commercials right now because they see he's got a lot of personality and he's just very endearing. He's just he doesn't take himself very seriously. And I think that's why he, in my opinion, is the current face of the NBA, assuming that LeBron and Curry are no longer there. That's my call over Jokic. That's who I would think.
So good point. I mean, Jokic does have an element of Tim Duncan in him where he, he's I don't know if you've seen him. He's on that commercial where they say he looks like Gru from Despicable 2 and he's talking to a psychiatrist or whatever. And, they won't leave me alone. So he's beginning to kind of endear himself from a marketing perspective. I think he's playing on but his overall attitude, at least it appears, basketball's secondary. He has this, love for horses and love for his home country. And, that's kind of what he wants to focus on. And he doesn't, I think I saw a clip where he's asking, when's the parade? Cause I got to go home. I don't want to be at no dang parade. I want to get out of here. So, some of that from a marketing perspective does diminish you and does diminish your brand because people look for the player to be as excited about playing as we are about watching them. Right.
Correct.
And Jokic
he's not like that. He's
turned
not
that down a little bit.
He's not like that at all. You're right. He's very unassuming. Yeah. Actually, it's a known thing that I heard it from some interview or something that I read recently where he's the type of personality type that doesn't want to be recognized by anybody. You know, he doesn't want to be known as this great NBA player. He doesn't like the fanfare. He doesn't like all the attention. He just wants to go home and be with his family and do stuff, you know, like an ordinary person and not have all this, you know, all these people look at him like this. He's like the next coming, right? He doesn't like it. He's that personality type. But, you know, he does have an endearing personality to him as well. You can see it in these commercials. The personality kind of comes out, right? You know, he's just kind of has this cool little accent that he has, and and you know,
he's kind of aloof and kind of, you know,
he's kind of laid back, easy going, right? But what's interesting, the point I'll bring up here, Twan, is that we both mentioned two players right now that are international players that are not born in the U.S.
Yes.
And let me ask you this: do you think the NBA is ready to pass the torch to somebody who is not from here? Right? Are they ready? Because the next guy you can also think about. You know, and I know you're probably going to bring up other players. Victor Wembanyama, man. That dude.
He's French,
The French guy, he came out and he had the same kind of pressure, not exactly, but similar to LeBron James. LeBron James coming out of, you know, high school to be this second coming of Jordan, right? And then you have Wembanyama, who's like this freak of nature, 7'4", has guard-like skills, you know, he's up for Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie, you know, so he's very, you know, he's got a great personality. He's got, you know, he's a good looking kid. You know, he's just, you know, you could tell that, you know, he has this gravitas about him. So if you bring up these three players, these are all international players. Or is the NBA ready to pass the torch to an international player? Because I don't think that they've ever done that.
No, I agree. I mean, he had Akeem Olajuwon for a minute, and we can argue whether he was ever the face of the NBA.
No, because he got Jordan.
Yeah. And then Tim Duncan, I believe, was born in
Bahamas.
The Bahamas. So, you know, technically, I guess you could argue he was international, but you had Jordan. So I personally, from my own perspective, I would think that it wouldn't matter. You know, I think it speaks well of the NBA when you have guys like Dirk Nowitzki and, you know, Petra who played, and what's the guy from the Nets that passed away?
Yeah, Drazen
Petrovic, you know, and I've always, you know, Sharunas Marciulionis, that was a warrior, you know, he's from Lithuania, and, you know, Andrew Bogut. So I think we've always kind of had these players, whether they're going to take the mantle and be, like I said, I think Giannis, we could argue Giannis is the face of the NBA. Even like the beginning.
Right now, he would be, in my opinion, if those guys retire tomorrow, he'd be the face of the NBA right now.
Yeah, we could argue. And I don't think it would impact NBA fans, you know, that much. I think that they'd be open to having an international player be the face of the NBA. As a matter of fact, I'm sure the NBA would love it because it opens the market not only here, but in their home country.
It's true. It's true.
Yao Ming, you know.
Yao Ming actually was big. He was big.
Yeah,
he was big. And so was Pau Gasol initially, too, when he came
from Spain.
They made a big deal out of him, too, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, but as far as being the face of the NBA right now, you know.
Yeah, no, it's never been that guy. But again, you take me back to that guy is the guy that always goes to the finals, always wins. And right now, you have Giannis with 1, Jokic with 1,
right?
You know, Curry and LeBron with 4 apiece.
Right.
You know, they own that number right now. And until they retire, they're going to continue to own that number unless one of these young bucks, you know, can come in there and start winning. You know, like look at the NFL, right? Who's the face of the NFL? Mahomes. Why? Is it because he's lovable? No, because he's winning. Because he's winning. And I think at the end of the day, we don't get to decide. The winning decides.
Yeah. So, okay. So now we have, you know, a bunch of new teams. You know, emerging teams, right? That are going to be, you know, fighting for a championship. You know, the Knicks haven't been there in quite some time. The Pacers haven't been there in quite some time. You know, as far as going to the Western Conference Finals, then you have, you know, the Mavericks. You know, who haven't. It's been a long time for them too. You know, as far as getting far. You know, that during the Jason Kidd days. You know that. You know, then you have Denver. You know, or the Wolves. The Denver's already been there, but the Wolves haven't. You know, so it's like
Oklahoma.
It's all Oklahoma City. You have all of these guys that are potential going to get their first ring, right?
Yep.
If the Denver Nuggets get ousted, which looks like could be the possibility, right? But all the other teams really haven't had a ring, really, in a long ass time. I don't, I mean, I don't think the Knicks have one, or they if they do, it's like in the 50s. I can't remember, right?
Yeah,
the Celtics haven't, right? But the Celtics have had, they have the most. If they win another one, they're going to be 18 banners. So, but all these other teams, the Pacers, the Wolves, the OKC Thunder, it's exciting, man, to see these guys. So they,
it is very exciting. I've been this particular NBA playoffs. I've been very excited. I've been I really like watching a lot of these young guys, and what's funny is me being kind of the pessimist, every year before I've always once the Warriors aren't in it, there's always a player that I don't like. Like I don't want Chris Paul to win something, or I don't want, Patrick Beverly to win something, or, there's always you're rooting more, or the Lakers, get the Lakers out of here kind of conversation. Right. And this particular year, I really don't feel that for the bulk of the remaining teams. And you're right. I mean, every team, if Denver gets ousted, no matter who wins, that particular group of players will be their first championship.
Your first.
Yes,
absolutely.
It will be their first.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And the Celtics too. I mean, the Celtics have the most, but outside of the Celtics and the Nuggets, everybody else would be vying for a championship. And like I said, I don't remember if the Knicks ever won it. I don't think they have. And I don't think so either. The Wolves we know haven't won it.
Pacers haven't.
We know the Thunder haven't because they were previously the Supersonics, and the Supersonics never won it.
Nope. So thanks to MJ.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool to see, man. So all right. So let me ask you this. So out of the guys that could be vying for their first ring, who stands out to you as maybe the top 2 or 3 guys out of the ones that could be the face of the NBA in the next 5 to 10 years, assuming they get their first ring this year? Who are some of these candidates that you see that could be?
Well, so I'm gonna excuse Victor Wembanyama right now because he's still too young. He's too young.
Yeah,
I think the odds-on favorite right now would be Luka, right? Which is yet another international player.
Correct.
Right? So I think he would be the odds-on favorite. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander may head that up. I mean, he's vying for an MVP. He may, depending on how this Mavs Thunder series goes. I think it can come down to that, at least for right now, for this current conversation. But the guy that right now is looking unstoppable in that is Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is he's a monster. I mean, he's shooting from the outside.
He's a big, strong kid, man. He's very athletic, and he's strong. He's just a big, strong kid,
Correct. And he doesn't play like Jordan, but his
skill set.
His skill set, the speed at which he plays at, the kind of not the movements, but the strengths that he have, they're very Jordan reminiscent.
Yeah, the explosiveness right now.
Correct.
Even his defense is actually pretty decent right now because he wasn't like that initially, man. That's ingrained in him now. He's definitely stepping up defensively more than I ever seen him before, especially this season. He's embraced it now, and that's what makes him very scary moving forward because the guy's only 21 or 22 years old. He's young, man. So, and he's been in this is finishing up his 3rd year, going on his 4th year. I mean,
correct.
Dude, he's going to be a beast.
Same draft as Wiseman, and look at LaMelo Ball, right? He's same class, and LaMelo's missed, 2 seasons, a season and a half? I mean,
yeah.
No, so I think Anthony Edwards has to, and not only that, when it comes to the face of the NBA, you also get extra points, in my opinion, when you're bringing up a team that's never won. That's why Jokic, to me, stands high, because he brought Denver into it. Same thing with Milwaukee. Well, actually, Milwaukee had a championship with Kareem. Lou Alcindor at the time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing there. They had a championship. But when you can bring up a new team, like Minnesota, who's never won, I think you get extra points for something like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good call, man. I agree. So
yeah.
Well, cool.
Now back to I think one of the players, just to talk about, because the Knicks are an exciting team, but I don't see Brunson as being the face of the NBA.
But the thing is, he's the New York media, man. They're going to hype that
guy. No, I know they're going to hype him.
Big time. Especially if they go to the finals, and especially if they win it. Oh,
so can you see Brunson being the face of the NBA?
I mean, he's unassuming, man. I mean, but he's got a good personality on him too. Like he's, and his dad used to play in the NBA too, and Because he's relatable. I think because he's a smaller guy. He was a second round pick. I'm surprised he slipped that far. Honestly, I was like, man, this guy is good. And I remember him at Villanova, man. I thought he was really good. And when he slipped to the second round, I'm like, what? No way. So I think for all these factors, he's endearing. And I think people like endearing, marketable people. Okay. I want to say he's full of personality, like a Giannis. Giannis is full of personality, right? Brunson is not that, but because of his circumstances and where he plays, there's going to be a lot to say that if they win it. I think he might.
So let me ask you this: if this, as we predicted, if the Celtics move forward and win win the finals this year,
yes,
do you think that puts Jason Tatum in the driver's seat as being the face of the NBA?
No,
me neither.
I don't think so.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a harsh question.
Okay.
Do you think Jason Tatum missed his window to be that guy?
I don't think he's just that guy. I think it's his persona, man. It's just the way he is. You can't be who you can't. You can't force somebody to be something, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's just that type of personality type. He's just more kind of like a affable, easygoing, kind of humble personality type. I don't see killer instinct in the guy. I see massive talent, but I don't see killer instinct in that guy at all. I don't see him kind of taking over a game just with his own mind, like a Kobe Bryant would, or Michael Jordan. Like, man, screw that. I'm gonna carry this team. I don't see that in him, But it's not, it's not everybody's that way, man. Right? You can only really point maybe 5 or 10 players in the NBA history to be kind of like that, right? So the odds are against people to be like that. But he's uber talented, man. I just don't think he has that gravitas to be the face of the NBA. Luka Doncic has it. Giannis has it. Victor Wembanyama has it. Anthony Edwards for sure has it in spades.
What about Embiid?
Embiid has a lot of personality too, but I don't think he has it either. I don't think so. Brunson, I don't think he has it, naturally, but who knows? The media could hype him up. He can get coached up, especially if they win it. But Jason Tatum, as far as the face of the NBA, I don't see it. He's definitely going to be considered a great player when his career ends, because of how he plays.
Who I think has it but needs more opportunity is Maxson.
Yeah, he definitely.
I like that case. He's got a smile on his face. He plays with like this
joy, kind of just like Curry. Curry's the
essence
same
of Magic Johnson kind of attitude.
Exactly.
Happy go lucky. I like that. I like him.
Yeah,
I like Maxson quite a bit.
I do too, man. I do too.
Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes.